Hey, I have been asked to share my testimony and talk a little bit about some experiences that Shani and I have seen in our prayer ministry connections. And my story is a little bit different than what some people might expect. It goes a little something like this. I was raised in a loving Christian home, and my parents really encouraged all of us. There were 5 of us kids. My parents encouraged us to memorize verses, and we went to church sometimes, but a lot of times church was at home with my family being pretty musical. And so we did our own music and worshiped God together. But all of that kind of was challenged a little bit when I was 8 and my dad died. He died suddenly of a stroke. So that left my mother with 5 kids between the ages of 8 and 17. And although she had a teaching degree, she had to go back and get some more schooling all of a sudden to be a teacher. And my dad's death and really his absence hit my family pretty hard. It hit each of us all differently. There were a series of environmental failures, and there was a lot of pain associated with my childhood. I coped in whatever way I knew how to as an 8-year-old. I tried not to cry in front of Mom so she wouldn't cry. And at some point, the little girl version of me became ignored by everyone, including me. So fast forward, my spiritual life in high school and college really took off, and I was in a church where I played music, and I really was diving into who God is and how He operates. And I was very involved in church and discipleship and evangelism. And starting in about 2012, I started having a series of losses. It was like those commercials that you see where they're like, but wait, there's more. My grandfather was sick and dying, and my mom was sick and dying. My dog was sick and dying. And in the middle of all of that, I had a couple car accidents that left me in a lot of pain. And there was more. I also lost my church. And there were a bunch of other small things. It was like there's just more and more and more piled on me. And at some point, I just couldn't take any more loss. And I felt like God was trying to annihilate me. And so I experienced a lot of pain from more other of God's people. And so I was just done. I was just done with church. I was done trying to pursue God at all. And so there was about 7-ish years of silence. I just stopped talking to God. Anyways, all out of nowhere, the 7 years of silence was broken. I was in the middle of driving, and a box of memories from my childhood opened. And all of a sudden I was thrown into the emotions of trauma and neglect, and all of a sudden I was an adult with PTSD. And I did not know what to do with that situation. So I was already in counseling because I was pretty stressed at work. And my mental health counselor is amazing. And it was really hard to... I was having panic attacks and PTSD episodes daily, then weekly, and it was hard to function. So one day I was talking to Shani, who was my physical therapist at the time, and she offered a prayer session with me, and I agreed to it, not knowing that that was kind of her thing. I just thought she was gonna pray for me. And I did not know what I was getting into. So during the prayer session, I realized how overburdened I was. And, you know, in previous churches, I just would always hear, let go and let God, or cast your cares on him. Or if you are in a lot of pain or you're not experiencing joy, it's because you haven't given it to God yet. So I had always functioned as if Christianity meant ignoring your pain and pretending like everything's okay because God. And so during the prayer session, Shani provided the space and opportunity for me to unburden. And all she did was listen, love, and pray. And I ended up learning to have a spirit of surrender, where I could ask God to help me process my bitterness and grief, process my childhood trauma, and my emotional and spiritual pain. And it was that first prayer session completely changed the trajectory of my life. The next week, Shani asked me to be in ministry with her, and I agreed. And now we facilitate prayer sessions with other people and with each other, and we're constantly working on our journeys. But I've realized over the last year and a half that pain may still be present in our journeys. And John 16:33 says, I have told you these things so you may have peace in this world. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So we know that life is going to be hard sometimes, and that people hurt us. And so we know that there are going to be trying times. And there was a morning that I was having I was in the throes of a panic attack. And I was also trying to do my morning devotional at the same time. And people that know me know I like to write, and my paper was blank. And so I just started praying, and I just honestly started talking to Jesus, and Jesus asked me, Suzan, how is it with your peace? And I looked at my blank paper, and I was like, I guess I have no peace. I guess I am just being thrown around by the chaos that's going on right now. And all of a sudden, as I was praying, I saw myself sinking into the ocean. I was sinking, and I looked down at my leg, and there was a chain on it, dragging me down into the water. And I caught a huge breath of air as I was going down, and I was just looking around, and I was like, okay, I think I know how this is going to play out. Jesus, if I just look up, Jesus is going to reach his hand down. And I'm going to grab his hand, and he's going to pull me up out of the water and save me. So I'm looking around and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm waiting for Jesus' hand. And I was wrong. That is not what happened. All of a sudden, the entire ocean drains. And I am standing on solid ground. And I hear Jesus say, Susan, you are not drowning. You're not even in the ocean. You are in my presence. And I just took a deep breath. It felt like the first breath I had ever taken. And realized I'm not actually drowning. I am perpetually in God's presence. And what storm can exist in God's presence? What storm in us can God not calm? What grave cannot be conquered in the presence of God? What resurrection can be halted when you're in the presence of God? And so this kind of became a theme in the next few months where God kept orienting me to his presence, and I learned some things about him. There apparently were some lies that I believed about how God operates. So I'm going to pass them on to you so that you don't so that you can know this before you actually go through some of these things. First of all, I learned that God is not a wrathful God. He is not a lightning bolt God. He's not a lightning bolt God. He does not sit there and wait for you to mess up so he can smite you. He is love, and that's how he operates. He is not in the annihilation business. People are. I realized God cannot be my destroyer and my healer at the same time. He is and has limitless love that we cannot be separated from, no matter how hard we try, because I tried, and he still pursued me. God desires us, and he pursues us, and he'll leave the 99 to come looking for us. And I feel like he radically pursued me. He builds fortresses around us and lets us be under his wing in safety. His goodness is untamed. He has so many good things for us. He's also got good craftsmanship. So you are amazing the way that God created you. Probably the biggest thing that I've learned is that pain is not the final product. It just isn't. Pain is not the final product. There have been times where I've been pretty frustrated with my physical pain, but every time I've entered into a prayer session with Shani about my physical pain, God has shown up and delivered me from other pains that I didn't know of. And resurrection is the end game for all of the broken places. And if you ever want to know God's character, look at Jesus and his ministry. And that's what I've experienced. I've experienced what Jesus did while he was here in my own life. So I keep being reoriented to who God is. He is who he says he is. He's a restorer, a healer, a provider. He draws near to us. And the result of the prayer ministry that I've been involved with in Cheney really has restored my connection with God. Dan Weathersby texted me a couple weeks ago, and he said, a Christian is one who is becoming strong in the broken places. Notice, it's not anything about works. It's not anything about waiting till we get to heaven to experience things. And I keep thinking that God's saying, but wait, there's more. But instead of it being loss after loss, it's, but wait, there's more. There's more I have for you. More love, more healing, more wholeness, more peace, more learning about yourself, more learning about me, and more resurrection. There's always going to be more for us. And I'm just so in love with God and am just so in awe for how he operates that I just feel so blessed to be part of this ministry and be able to continue the ministry that Jesus started when he was here. Thank you for listening, and I hope that my testimony touches you. If you want to reach out to me or Shani, just message us on Facebook and schedule a session with us.